Actors who were selected for a role described as ugly, how did that part feel to play?
I had spent a couple of months trying to get a talent agency to work with me and was excited to finally get signed up. After a month of anxiously checking my emails, I decided to call them. It's hard to get a booking without a professional headshot. I recommend creating a more appealing portfolio. Sure, good advice, I thought. Not a knock on my appearance at all. So I booked a shoot and uploaded my headshots a week later. My excitement when I received a casting call was impossible to contain. My agent said I had been picked by the director himself to replace a role at short notice, and would I be available for a 16-hour shoot tomorrow morning from 6 a.m.? Hell yes I was. I just asked for the location and wardrobe, to which I was told just turn up and it will all be provided. The scene details would be emailed to me immediately. I raced to my laptop and opened the attachment. Underworld resident, dead, face down in a field. That was it. The lead actor stepped over me 12 times to get the take right. It had rained the night before, and my face was numb from the Vancouver fall morning. No one saw me, because the hood of my costume covered my face. I smiled the whole time. It was my first ever role.
Maybe you have a nice ass.
I was the ugly duckling in my high school's production of Shrek the Musical. I was mostly concerned with perfecting my waddle.
I got a role once for being ugly and obese. I was okay with it. I know what I am. And the paycheck certainly salved any sad feelings I might have had.
Bro, as a bartender who looks like everyone's chubby bearded cousin. I feel ya.
Ha! My mother had a casting call that specifically told her to just roll out of bed and not wear makeup. She is in position in a barroom and the scene begins. It's a detective noir theme with the protagonist actively narrating his actions via asides. He walks in, I'm in a room full of unattractive women.
She shouldn't feel too bad, Hollywood ugly is like a 7.
An 8 with glasses.
Could you imagine a girl with glasses and a ponytail?
Took a role as the comedy relief, homely sister for a shitty play where I was the butt of most of the jokes. It kind of killed my self-esteem during rehearsals, especially since the girl playing my supposedly Hollywood starlet-esque sister liked to brag about being the center of attention and getting a bunch of solos. But I put work into the role nonetheless and tried to have fun with it as best I could. When it came time to actually perform on stage, I got the most laughs and the most praise after each showing, while my sister awkwardly stood off to the side. In the end, it didn't feel so bad after all.
I mean, Danny DeVito is one of the most loved actors out there. You don't have to be hot to be amazing.
Your second sentence doesn't seem connected to your first sentence, unless you were implying something ridiculous about the man who played Officer Goodbody.
The man exudes sex.
I do some acting here in Los Angeles. Usually, garbage man, or mechanic, or hardware store guy. I get calls for diabetes medication commercials. That's kind of depressing. Other than that, I don't mind. We all have a type. And I get to work with people who I have idolized my whole life sometimes. The thrill of being on a movie or TV set far overcomes any self-conscious feelings I might have because I look like a shabby nobody. And when I die, my kids will be able to see me on Netflix or wherever, doing something I really love. I wish I got to do it a lot more often. But I'm grateful for everything that has come my way because of how I look. My wife is super cute, and she doesn't mind how I look, so that's really all that matters to me at the end of the day.
My wife is super cute, and she doesn't mind how I look, so that's really all that matters to me at the end of the day. That's completely adorable. I hope to meet someone like that one day.
I wasn't assigned an ugly role, but I was told that I looked snarky. The director and producer both told me, at a first glance, you look like a major dick. I wasn't exactly flattered by this, but it helped me land my first acting gig, so I dunno.
Resting dick face.
He's got a flaccid look to him.
His acting is a bit stiff.
I do background, extras type acting, and despite being later 30s, average everything woman, I get more work than a hot college girl because I look more like the average diner customer, mom in a grocery store, wife of older biker gang member at a wedding, weathered bartender, etc. that most movies and TV shows need. I don't mind in the least. Sure, I'm not sharing any on-screen kisses with whatever a list actor, but guess what, I got to meet them and that's cool as fuck to me.
Sounds like you are in a nice little niche, good for you.
Amazing to think about, that being average is a niche.
There's ugly, and then there's Hollywood ugly.
Hollywood ugly is in Oklahoma 9.
1 million upvotes. I'm a 9 in the Hobunk, Texas town my mom lives in, but in LA I'm maybe a solid 4.5 lol, but also crying.
A buddy of mine was told he couldn't get a good guy part because he wasn't handsome, he's very plain looking. It messed him up a bit, but he rebounded. Now does props for shows like The Walking Dead, was even one of the walkers. He seems legitimately happy now. Edit didn't know this until someone brought it up that this was one of the top comments. My first ever thanks for the upvotes guys, it means a lot.
The pain came when he was cast as a walker and only needed 5 minutes in makeup to look realistic.
How we gonna make this guy look slightly less dead?
Had a friend who played Beast in Beauty and the Beast in high school, and there was a kissing scene at the end that involved Beast and Belle, but since my friend Beast was butt-ass ugly, the actress playing Belle didn't want to kiss him, so they got a different actor to do the kissing scene as the post-Beast prince, and LMAO, my friend was so fucking pissed and insulted. He had the Beast costume on the whole show, so no one saw him, they only saw the transformed prince, other actor, who kisses Belle in the end.
I had to play Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast, and as soon as I walked into audition, one of the teachers said loud enough to hear, "Oh, so Cogsworth needs to be short and fat," and everyone in the room stared at me.
This is fucking brutal.
And this is how you make a super villain.
It all started at a high school play.
And this is why you don't do kissing scenes in high school. Only drama can come from it.
It seems like the adult running the show should only be giving 2 options here. 1. Acting, kiss the actor who has the role. 2. Don't kiss at all. Am I understanding correctly that she said to the drama teacher, "I don't want to kiss that guy, can I kiss this person instead," and the teacher then helped her set up an on-stage make-out sesh? Lol.
Nah, people are much more creative with their rejections than that. The girl could have said something like, "Excuse me, sorry. I'm grateful I got the part, but honestly, I don't feel comfortable kissing Beast. I don't know him and it makes me uncomfortable just kissing someone I don't really know. Me and other attractive and probably well-known class favorite are friends and he said he wouldn't mind doing that part for me. We asked Beast and he said he was totally okay with it if you are. And it's after the costume change so the audience wouldn't know too." Quote, "Honestly, I can't see a teacher saying no without nixing the kissing scene altogether." Also, a lot of people are making the assumption that she actually admitted the reason was because he's ugly. I can say from ample life experience, people rarely tell you you're ugly, they treat you like you're ugly. OP's friend knew the truth, but it's possible she did all of it without ever admitting the elephant in the room.
There is that one actress, Lucy Punch, who is not ugly in the least, who has made a career of playing the evil stepsister in every Cinderella-type movie she possibly can, because she loves playing that role so much. Even if it's supposed to be an ugly role. I really don't think actors care.
I know a guy who got the part in a major motion picture that was described as albino-looking inbred kid. It launched his career. Edit, nobody actually guessed it yet.
And his name was Benadryl Cumbitstick?
His name was Hubert Cumberdale. Close friends with Jeremy Fisher and Marjorie Stewart Baxter.
Just when I thought I had erased salad fingers from my memory.
Had a buddy who was an aspiring actor. He would fall in the Steve Buscemi realm of ugly, odd-looking. He knew exactly what kind of roles he would be chosen for and purposely kept his hair and beard in an unkempt manner.
My friend was an aspiring actor and made a career of mostly playing scumbags for 2 decades. He's a big bald white dude with a beard, so if you needed a big scary dude he was your guy. Had a handful of small speaking roles, but most of his parts were things like Outlaw Biker No. 2, Bodyguard No. 1, Skinhead Guard, Scary Jailhouse Rapist, etc., plus plenty of extra and background parts. He's been in a bunch of movies, commercials, and TV shows, some credited and some not credited. Also gotten killed on screen a few times. One of the nicest dudes I know, so him playing so many scumbags is hilarious to us. Especially hilarious since he's a teacher now.
I have an actor friend who lives hand to mouth but has the face of a handsome prosperous banker. So he is the rich guy in a few commercials for investment firms. Everyone finds it amusing.
Lol at Scary Jailhouse Rapist though. Just because it is the best possible answer to, "You were in that movie? Really? Who did you play?"
The usual.
It wasn't ugly per se, but I showed up thinking I was an extra wandering through a fertility clinic, put extra work into my makeup and hair because you never know, and there was a slight scene switch. I was tapped to play woman giving birth, so the first thing the crew did was mess up my hair and make it look like my makeup was running. I ad-libbed a few lines during the 2 hours it took to capture my 25 seconds on screen, but I got in the credits.
Is there any type of career importance for getting into the credits?
Helps you qualify for the Screen Actors Guild and certain unions.
Right. And this is a very big deal for a career.
How much does an actor get paid for being on screen for 25 seconds?
Screen time doesn't dictate pay. For most actors on small projects, they'll get paid by the day. Doesn't matter if they never even make it into the video. Background actors will be paid way less than leads. Now this can vary wildly and it's tough to even ballpark how much they would make. Super small stuff? A few hundred maybe. From there, it starts getting into SAG payment levels, which is a whole mess of different budgets, project types, residuals, and all kinds of other factors that govern how much they'll make. Long story short, we've paid actors anywhere from a few hundred to several thousand, and we mostly do music videos and small commercials. For a broadcast commercial we recently bid on, the leads would be paid $50K, $80K depending.
There's a scene in Home Alone where Kevin woofs at a picture of his brother's ugly girlfriend. The producers decided not to insult some young girl by putting her into that role just to be laughed at, and instead the art director had a son who was more than willing to put on an ugly girl look.
Most actors really won't give a shit as long as their name is in the credits and they get a check. A select few will be insulted, but the acting scene is so incredibly competitive. If you were an up-and-coming actor and had the choice of being a co-star in a major movie where you had to play someone who was ugly, or being in a much smaller, lesser-heard-of film, almost any actor would put their ego aside and pick the first option.
Not only that, a lot of ugly characters in movies end up being decent in real life. Makeup and character personality can go a long ways.
Peter Dinklage got the role as Tyrion, who is supposed to be pretty damn ugly. He nailed the role and no one even remembered he was supposed to be pretty grotesque.
No one even remembered he was supposed to be pretty grotesque. I remember a lot of the book fans being pretty vocal that he wasn't true enough to character, especially after his facial scar. In the book it took off his nose and disfigured him even more, in the show it was just a cool battle scar.
I feel like, from a practical point of view, there just isn't a huge pool of actors with dwarfism, plus the fact that actors who were both dwarves and hideously ugly probably weren't getting a lot of work to get them to the point to be considered for a show as big as GOT. IMO, it was more important to get someone with the acting chops, which I feel we can agree Dinklage had, than it was to get someone who matched the exact physical description. Book purists, for any adaptation, often overlook the practical imperfect world of making a movie, film. Also, having an actor have a missing nose was probably just too impractical to CGI for the whole run of the show. I don't know when he was supposed to lose the nose, I only watched the first season.
A director asked me a few months before holding auditions for his play if I would stop trimming my beard and cutting my hair. He cautioned that it didn't mean I was cast, but he'd simply like me to keep it in mind. Obviously, I went full natural. I didn't want to tell anyone I'd been asked to do it in case I wasn't cast. As things started looking wild, friends kept begging me to clean myself up. I'm not ridiculously good looking, but I'm alright looking and youthful when clean shaven, and I could feel people begin to treat me differently. I am gay and, my sex life suffered. It became very isolating to feel that sort of superficial distance for the first time. I was only in my early 20s, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. It started to shake my confidence, but I was committed to the journey. I eventually was cast in the play as a homeless alcoholic. My character entered the play at the top of the second act, got drunk, fabricated colorfully long-winded stories, and remained on stage uninterrupted until the curtain. I lived and breathed that role, and I was completely humbled by the praise I received for my work. It changed my life, my friend group changed, my tastes changed, my identity shifted, it altered how I perceived myself.
I'm an actor, but I wouldn't say an ugly one. Just average. Casting calls are hilarious with the ways they describe female characters. There's usually a height requirement with the otherworldly beautiful woman roles, and I'm 5 feet 2 inches, so that's out the window anyway. Movie roles are usually more of that, but I get a lot of commercial work where I respond to casting calls like pretty, but not a model. Still kinda bums me out, but I know where I'll be cast and I want the paycheck. I still work consistently, so I guess it's not so bad, but just once I wish I could get a call back for the unattainable goddess role.
It won't say pretty, but not a model on the paycheck.
3 times in high school I played the ugly character. Freshman year I was excited that I had a line in Cinderella, even though it was, "I wish I didn't like to eat," in the first number. The second year, I stole the show and got a standing ovation as Mama Mae Peterson in Bye Bye Birdie. The third year, it wasn't exactly an ugly role, but my costume as the head maid Mrs. Pierce in My Fair Lady was, it looked like someone skinned a couch to see that dress. Those didn't really matter so much. As an underclassman, I was happy just to have a role, especially since I'm good at accents, Brooklyn, British respectively. And 3 standing O's when I came out for Bose was great. But I was looking forward to when my time came senior year. He always picked plays based on the talent he knew would be coming. Birdie was for the alto who played Rosie. My Fair Lady was for her soprano younger sister. It was obvious who the top actor was for my senior year. After joking about my weight, and I was actually not so fat back then, just big boobs, even after losing some weight this year, so I'm only 45 pounds above my high school weight, being a fur coat wearing jerk, and the tweed monstrosity, under stage lights in a non-air conditioned auditorium. My senior year I auditioned for Pippin. The roles I read for were leading player and Fastrada, the narrator and mother, but said that I would be happy with any role but Bert, the grandmother. And I know that this makes me look a little petty, okay, a lot, but I'd have been Charlemagne's understudy over yet another old lady. I wasn't picky. Lo and behold, I was cast as Bert. When I asked the director why he didn't put me in as chorus if I didn't fit the other roles, he told me, a high school kid and one of only about 20 people auditioning, that I'm the best actor and one of the better singers, but go take a look at myself in the mirror. I'm not leading lady material. Silly me, I thought talent would be enough to not be typecast as the ugly comic relief my senior year. I ended up playing in the pit orchestra instead, since I was going to college for music. The girl who was my understudy didn't get the role of Bert, he gave it to someone else because she was too heavy. The girl cast as Fastrada quit after a few weeks of rehearsal, and the leading player completely forgot one of his songs and literally froze on stage. It was a train wreck, and us musicians knew it. I can understand if it was a professional performance. I wouldn't even audition for a pretty role in that case. I acknowledge that I'm built like a dump truck. I've even taken voice acting classes because I love acting, and I really am damn good at it. But this was a small high school's performance. There wasn't a huge talent pool. Would it really have killed a guy to have a slightly overweight actor that can, you know, ACT, and has a reputation for not only remembering their lines, but everyone else's, so no one knew when Professor Higgins screwed up a scene, to be cast as not the old or fat character for once? It really stuck with me. I auditioned only once in college, and when a stage manager who I later became friends with told me that the student directors only cast their friends, and it sucks because I was better, I didn't even bother. Down almost 30 pounds since January, and I still see myself as the fat tub of lard that I was at the beginning of the year. I've seen myself as that fatso ever since high school. Just took 17 years for my body to catch up to my perception of myself, I guess. I got my rush through performing music instead, at least until our bassist picked a fist fight with me and broke up the band. But that is a story for another thread. TLDR, the first 3 times, NBD. The fourth, however, felt like crap.
That teacher is a pos. Kids are so sensitive about their looks and body image at that age. I have such an unhealthy attitude to my own body image, and that's only from growing up in the 90s. I love how you speak about the performing arts. You truly seem so passionate. I'm glad you found what you love so early in life. Go you.